What's up, guys? Welcome back to today's episode of The Sports Sermon. We are brought to you by Scooch, the most functional phone case on the market. Check out ScoochCase.com to get yours today and use the code SPORTS18, sports with a Z, of course, to get a 10% discount on your order. Stay tuned till the end for a special Scooch giveaway as well. But now, today's episode.
And welcome inside the Sports Sermon. As you can tell by the title today, we are talking about the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you want to check out the rest of our NFL team previews, make sure you go subscribe to our channel on YouTube, iTunes, Soundcloud, Spotify, whichever one you like the most. And follow us on Twitter at the Sports Sermon. But I'm Dylan Staggy, and I'm here with Jason Gotti and Dan Majors today to talk about the Kansas City Chiefs. A year ago, they finished 10-6 and got upset in the first round of the playoffs by the Tennessee Titans. It was a close one. 22-21 was the final score. And in the offseason, they got rid of Alex Smith and Marcus Peters, two of their best players from a year ago, and have turned the reins over to Patrick Mahomes.
My homies.
To try and lead their team back to the playoffs. But my first question is going to be about the Chiefs' defense. A year ago, they were not too good. They were the 28th ranked total defense in yardage, 15th in scoring, though, in the league. Did they do enough this offseason to improve their defense?
So, I honestly thought they had a horrible offseason. They lost their horsepower from their coaching staff when Matt Nagy went to Chicago. Then they got rid of their only proven quarterback when they got rid of Alex Smith to Washington. Then they took out their most talented defender when they traded Marcus Peters. And they paid a super high premium on a talented but underproducing receiver and Sammy Watkins and linebacker Anthony Hitchens, who might or may not provide 3-down value. We really don't know how much he's going to be able to play. I was so... I guess disappointed is the wrong word because I was happy it happened, but if I'm not a Raider fan, I was very disappointed how the Chiefs did off in the offseason. I thought it was so bad. I don't think that David Amerson, watching him all last year, I don't think he's the answer, or Kendall Fuller, isn't that him? Because Kyle's still with Chicago. It's Kendall, right?
Yeah.
Kendall, I don't think either of them are worth being that number one guy. Marcus Peters was a shut-down corner, and they just traded him for literally nothing, and I was so surprised.
Yeah, I wasn't very high on it, but the two main additions that I liked were I liked the Kendall Fuller and the Anthony Hitchens signings.
But see, Hitchens was so expensive. And
yeah.
Who knows how much he's going to play? It was really the issue I had.
I guess just as a player, I think he will.
Yeah, if there were no contracts involved, he'd be a good player.
Yeah, with Derek Johnson gone, I think that'll help a lot with him there. And then Fuller will help a secondary that was down a little last year because of injuries, and he's one of the best young defensive backs in the league, in my opinion.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with Jason here. They completely failed. F- for their offseason this year.
That's not a thing, actually.
The second...
Give them an F.
Yeah. Well, it was worse than an F. Grabbing Amerson and Fuller was fine, and getting Eric Berry back in the secondary, they might be able to salvage something together. But, Anthony Hitchens was definitely overpaid, and these moves aren't going to help fix their defense. It's still going to be one of the worst in the league this year. Outside of Houston and Hitchens in the front seven, there's just pretty much nothing there. And then maybe the secondary is decent. I don't know besides that, though.
Yeah.
And, it's all going to come down to Patrick Mahomes.
And that's where I just think that's so crazy. You just got a guy in Kareem Hunt. You have a guy in Tyreek Hill. You just signed Sammy Watkins, smart or not. Those guys are not going to be we need to progress them. They're ready to go. Kareem Hunt was the league's leading rusher. What's his name? Tyreek Hill had a heck of a season. Keep Alex Smith there and let them go to the playoffs again. If Alex Smith's there, I think he makes up for this defense. And I think you don't have to overpay for guys like Anthony Hitchens. You don't have to trade, Marcus Peters. But the reason they had to trade Marcus Peters was so they could get a guy like Sammy Watkins in order to give Patrick Mahomes more weapons. They traded Alex Smith. Then they didn't have any cap space to go sign anybody because they had it all locked up. So they traded Marcus Peters to clear cap space so they could go get Sammy Watkins. I'm sorry, but I would definitely take Alex Smith and Marcus Peters over Sammy Watkins, who cut his dreads, which is a whole other story. Did you guys see that? He cut his freaking dreads to get a fresh start and focus on football. Like, it's your hair. Calm down. But, yeah, he actually looks so different. If you look at the picture, he looked really weird. But, I don't know. I was just so, like, what are you doing? And I don't know. I'm excited as a Raider fan. I think there's a legitimate chance for first or second place, when if you had told me last year, I would have said we're probably playing for second or third. So, I don't know. I was really excited personally how the Chiefs played.
Last year, you thought the Raiders were going to go to the Super Bowl.
I mean, like, if you had me to ask at the end of last season, like, look at the Chiefs, and, like, for next year.
I got you.
Yeah, like, looking at the end of last season, like, oh, look at next year. I'd be like, we're playing for second or third, but now it's
I mean, talking about Peters, though, I mean, I can kind of understand where they're coming from with the trade because of the character issues.
That was sick when he threw the...
That was hilarious.
He just launched the flag.
And they did get a second-round pick next year out of it, so...
I mean, that doesn't help you this year. I mean, I get what you're saying, though.
I mean, a second-round pick, that's...
Yeah, that's usually helpful.
But let's talk about Patrick Mahomes. How do you think he performs this year?
Yeah, friend of the program, Wyatt Metzger, absolutely loves him. I personally do not. I think people are way too high on him. I think he just needs to be smarter with the ball in a tough division with a tough schedule, and I don't think he will be. I think he's a gunslinger that is okay throwing 2 interceptions if it's going to lead to 5 touchdowns. I think he's going to be fine, and there's a name that I'm going to throw out a lot. I want to make it very clear. I don't think he doesn't play like this guy at all. It's Marcus Mariota. I think he's going to have a very similar season to how Marcus Mariota played this past season. He had 3,200 yards, 13 touchdowns, 15 picks. I'm not high on the Chiefs like everyone else, and I'm not that high on Patrick Mahomes. I think he's going to make a lot of mistakes. We saw him at Texas Tech. There was no defense, and he still threw picks. Like, he likes to gunsling that ball, and he likes to run around, go crazy, kind of like Brett Favre, like Johnny Manziel, all those kind of guys who just like to run around and sling it. But the thing is, these defenses in this division is good. The Chargers and the Broncos have top 5, top 10 defenses. The Raiders, I think, are more improved than people are giving them credit for. Obviously, not in that same conversation, but Broncos and Chargers are going to have heck of a defenses. I really do not think Pat Mahomes plays well this year.
Yeah, he's in a division with some solid defenses, like you mentioned, so he might struggle. But overall, I think he'll have a fine year. The main thing I look at, though, is that he is very unproven, so I really don't know. So I see a below-average season for him and look to improve every year from here on out.
I think he's going to have a heck of a career. I really do. I think he'll have a good career.
Yeah.
But I don't know about this. Let's tank it. Not tank, but like let's throw what we had away because going to the playoffs isn't that fun. Like, let's go. Like, I don't know. I just don't think even if Patrick Mahomes plays well, he's not taking any farther than Alex Smith did. Like, you're not like, oh, we got rid of him, so Patrick Mahomes can take us to the Super Bowl. Like, even if Patrick Mahomes is the offensive rookie of the year, I don't think they're getting past the divisional round still. Like, their defense is not...
Well, I mean, he wouldn't be the rookie of the year because...
I'm just saying if he has that type of season. Sorry. If he has a rookie of the year type season, I don't think they're getting outside the divisional round still. Like, I just don't see a way that they're like, wow, Patrick Mahomes, you're the reason we're going to the Super Bowl. Like,
yeah.
Alex Smith can do that. I don't know. It was just weird to me. Like, the whole offseason for them was very weird.
Yeah, I mean, I think he'll show flashes of stardom in this season, and I think he'll have plenty of opportunities just because the Chiefs will probably get into a ton of shootouts this year. I think he's definitely going to be inconsistent, though. He has some great weapons around him, so I think he will put up a lot of stats this year, and you might look out for him in fantasy because of that. But, I mean, in terms of wins, I don't think that translates to a lot of wins for the Chiefs. Jason, you threw out a lot of comparisons for Pat Mahomes. One I actually liked was Brett Favre.
Yeah.
Obviously, Mahomes is a little bit more mobile and probably less accurate, but just the gunslinger type, I can definitely see that. But let's talk about kind of the future for the Chiefs. How do you see this entire Pat Mahomes era going for the Chiefs?
I think it really depends on what weapons they put around him, and I think you have to look at two sides of the spectrum. You look at Marcus Mariota, who I mentioned earlier. The Titans didn't do much to put many weapons around him. They put DeMarco Murray, who was a dud after 1 year. Then they put Andre Johnson, who was old. Then they got Richard Matthews. They signed, who they signed last year? Eric Decker, is that who they got?
Yeah.
Yeah, they signed a bunch of old vets that had big names, didn't do anything. And now Marcus Mariota, people are not sure is the real deal. Then you look at the other side of the spectrum. Carson Wentz. They put a ton of weapons around him in Alshon Jeffrey, Torrey Smith, Jay Ajayi, LeGarrette Blount, etc. For me, I think it all depends on what does the front office do to put weapons around them. And I don't think Sammy Watkins was that answer. I like the direction. If you take out skill and all that, like the reasoning for the move to clear cap space to get weapons for the offense, I like that. The personnel side of it didn't really make too much sense, but in general, I think that mentality is going to be a big X factor on how well Patrick Mahomes does.
Yeah, I definitely think it depends on what they put around him, but he will never be an elite or even a top 10 quarterback in my opinion. But
why is that? Like, why don't you think that?
He just doesn't have that it factor, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. He just doesn't.
He doesn't get you going.
No, he doesn't, honestly. But I mean,
I
I think he still is going to be a solid quarterback.
Yeah, I agree with you. But I think what you're saying is a minority opinion. Like, I think a lot of people think he's going to be the real deal. I don't see. I agree with you. I think he could be a top 10 quarterback. I don't think he's ever going to be in the elite quarterback conversation. I could see him being a Cam Newton, like 8, 9, 10, 11 type quarterback.
I can see him being an average quarterback like an Andy Dalton.
At best?
Not at best.
Okay. I don't know.
That's what I see him at.
I think he has so much more potential, though, just because of that arm strength and that mobility. I mean, he could fizzle out like a Colin Kaepernick.
He took him to the Super Bowl.
Another comparison. I mean, yeah, he did take him to the Super Bowl. He had a great few years.
That Alex Smith got traded for.
And then he fizzled out. On that. And then, I mean, Kaepernick just kind of fizzled out. I mean, I just see this going a lot of ups and downs for Pat Mahomes just because right now he's still so inconsistent. I want to see a full season of him being great before I can say that the Chiefs are going to be a dynasty around him. And I mean, step one, they got to fix this defense too next offseason. And I mean, Mahomes is never going to get them anywhere unless he's an absolute star if they don't fix this defense.
So you think it's more a defensive problem than it is offensively?
For at least these first few years, if Mahomes turns into something, I mean, there's plenty of quarterbacks that have had dynasties with bad defenses.
That's what I was going to say. I mean, I think that's what I think comes down to the offense. What do they put around him? Kareem Hunt's great and all. That's what I think he's going to be.
Well, I mean,
fine.
The offense does have a ton of pieces this year, though.
I don't know. Travis Kelce doesn't get me going. Maybe it's because I hate him as a person. He's just kind of like a dick as a person. But I mean, he is. Like, everyone knows, he's just kind of like a dick.
What's wrong with him?
Dude, it's like a universal. Travis Kelce is a dick. Like, just look it up. Like, he just is like that douchey kind of guy. Like,
I think he's pretty
made
funny.
His own reality TV show about dating. Like, he's just like that guy. It's like, all right, we get it. You're famous. Like, calm down. I don't know, but maybe that's why he just never really does anything for me. I think he shies away when big games come. I don't know. For me, I don't want to come off as a Chiefs hater because when I'm being unbiased, I do think there are pieces to make this team good, and I think they will be pretty decent. It's just I don't think that's enough for a rookie quarterback, and that's why I was just so confused by the move. Because for Alex Smith, it is enough. Kareem Hunt, Tyreek Hill, Travis Kelce, and Alex Smith is a playoff team. But Patrick Mahomes is going to need help. He's a rookie, and yes, we want to say, oh, well, Deshaun Watson didn't need it, but that was a crazy season. Carson Wentz didn't do that great. Yes, their team did great, but statistically, he wasn't great that first year, and he needed help. That's where I really do think it's all going to come out of those weapons. Because if they can get they have a running back. If they can get a wide receiver 2 to go up with Tyreek Hill, a possession. If they can get a Jarvis Landry. I know he's locked up, whatever. I'm saying that kind of guy where he's just going to go 5, 6, 7 yards, in, out, slants, those type of things. Just get the ball in his hands. Get Mahomes some confidence. Get him some rhythm. Have him hit 4 or 5 completions in a row. Then go deep to Tyreek Hill. Alex Smith had that confidence, had that rhythm. I don't think Patrick Mahomes does yet. And I do, Dan, you said this. I think he's going to have a good season. I think Andy Dalton's kind of his floor. Not he's going to be like Andy Dalton, but I think that's his floor. I think he has potential to be a top 7, top 8 quarterback consistently. The difference is
what do you think Andy Dalton is?
And I'm saying his floor. Dalton's 17, 18, 19, 20.
Okay.
Well, yeah. I don't know. I mean, he's never going to be terrible. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think we all agree he's not going to bust and be like.
Yeah, I mean, you watched that last game that he had. I mean, he was definitely decent,
but
backups. He also had some bad throws in it too.
Yeah, exactly,
and that's what I think this whole season's going to be for him.
Yeah, but see, I don't know. That's why I worry about their team because, like you said, their defense isn't going to help out. Their defense isn't good enough. If this was the Broncos, let's take Patrick Mahomes and the Broncos. This might be a playoff team because their defense is so good, where they can make up for those mistakes that Patrick Mahomes makes.
Yeah, and that's why. That's
a good point about the defense.
That's why I'm not a huge fan of the Chiefs this season. But let's get into it. I want to hear you guys' record prediction, place in the division, and whether the Chiefs make the playoffs this year.
Yeah, so for me, I have them at 9-7. I know people are going to freak out. Jason, you're a hater. I know. Commented. I get it. But you look at the
That's
schedule.
good. That's only one game worse than they were last year.
I'm just saying, like, I feel like people like Chiefs fans think they're going to be 10-6, 11-5, like perennial playoff. I don't know. I don't think they make the playoffs. You look at their schedule. They visit the Chargers and the Steelers before playing their home opener against Jimmy Garoppolo's 49ers. Then is followed by a 3-game stretch in Denver and then against Jacksonville and New England. There is a realistic possibility that they go 1-5, 2-4. Like, that is a brutal.
Totally.
And so that scares me. Because how does a rookie quarterback respond from starting off the season 2-4, 1-5, hell 0-6? What if they really struggle to get something going? Now they're 0-6, backs against the wall. Does Patrick Mahomes still gunsling it? Because then you got Cincinnati, Denver, Cleveland, Arizona. Maybe he builds some confidence up against Cincinnati, kills them. Then he goes back to Denver, throws 96 picks again. Like, I don't know. I do think this beginning of the schedule is such a brutal start for a rookie quarterback. And so I have him at 9-7.
Yeah, that's what I was about to get into. Those first 6 games will
Yeah.
definitely be tough to get through, and that could definitely bring their confidence down. So I don't see them winning the division, especially with an unproven quarterback. So I'm going to have them 8-8, actually, 3rd in the division, and do not make the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not even as high as you guys are. I have 7 and 9.
Oh, wow.
Hater. See, it's not me. Comment. I'm the hater. Get off
I
me
think
now. Don't comment.
I think they finished 3rd in the division and don't make the playoffs. And I mean, I'm not a hater. I like Pat Mahomes for the future. I think their offense will be great. I think Pat Mahomes has a great statistical season, but I don't think it translates into wins because the Chiefs' defense is just not what it was from a few years ago.
I gotta ask you this question then. Well, I mean, this is kind of putting you on the spot, so I get it if you don't, but do you have a comparison of a guy Patrick Mahomes is going to have this kind of guy season from last year or like the year before? Do you have anybody like that where you're like, he has a great statistical season, but like, their team, like, I don't know.
From last
I mean, I think
Just in general, like the last few years, like if you think of like Marcus Mariota 15, that's fine, but like,
I think
not
you
Brett Favre in 1980.
you mentioned Deshaun Watson earlier. I think at points he can have some of those kind of games.
Okay, their team played good though.
What?
Their team was good when he was on the field.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have points like that. He'll also have points where he isn't looking too good, like that first stretch that you mentioned. I mean, that's definitely going to be very tough for the Chiefs to come out of, and that's where I think they struggle this season. But I think at points he can light it up. He's gonna throw a lot of deep balls like Deshaun Watson did. Maybe. Obviously, he's not going to throw 4 touchdowns every game like Deshaun Watson did in his 6-game stretch. But I think just in the way they play and the terms of stats that he could put up, just because the Chiefs are going to get into so many shootouts this year, I think.
So you think Mahomes is on Watson's level? I mean,
That's top 7, top 8 quarterback.
You think Deshaun Watson's a top 7 and top 8 quarterback already?
Yes. I saw somebody today that would put him in. They said they draft him in the first round of their mock draft because they think he's gonna be like that good, like
I
from
think
fantasy football. Like they think he's like I think Deshaun Watson is a top 5 quarterback debated. Like I love Deshaun Watson.
I think it's a guarantee that he will be the best quarterback out of this draft class.
Who's in it with him? It's him. Run me through the names real fast. It's Watson,
Mahomes.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah. I'm saying like run me through the names. Watson, Mahomes. Wasn't Wentz in there though?
No.
No, Wentz was not. No.
That was the year before. And they traded that to yeah. Watson, Mahomes. Who else was in that? It was last year, right? 27.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to remember. I don't know. I think he's better than Mahomes. What do you think?
I can't even think of who else is in it.
I can't either. That's the crazy thing is like it was one Deshaun Kaiser, Mitch Trubisky, Brad Kaya, Nathan Peterman, Davis Webb. Yeah, I think Deshaun Watson definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Mitchell Trubisky. I think I'm higher on him than most people. I think he could have a heck of a year and a heck of a career. I don't think he's Watson level. I think I'd put Trubisky over Mahomes. I think in terms of future potential. Like if right now I had to pick one to start my career, my future. Like if I'm the Chiefs, I trade my starting quarterback because I'm an idiot. Who do I want on my team? I'm picking Mitchell Trubisky. I love Mitchell Trubisky's game. I think he's really balling. I think Chicago's gonna have a heck of a season. We'll talk about that in the Chicago Bears podcast. So, yeah, I mean, Dan, don't sleep on Chad Kelly though from that draft class. On the Broncos. Is he still there? He was drafted. Chad Kelly. Remember how he was like supposed to be really good, then he like fell due to all those concerns? I think you're talking about that draft class.
Chad Kelly.
Yeah.
I know who you're talking about, yeah.
He's a baller.
Anyway, that's going to do it for today's Kansas City Chiefs episode. If you want to check out the rest of our NFL team previews,
Do it.
make sure you subscribe to our channel. Again, YouTube, iTunes, SoundCloud, Spotify, and then follow us on Twitter too at The Sports Sermon. And since you stuck around to the end, you get to hear about the Scooch contest that Jason mentioned in the intro. If you comment on this video or subscribe to us on iTunes, Spotify, or YouTube, you will be automatically entered into a contest for a Scooch Wingman case. So make sure you go ahead and do that, and you will be entered into a contest. We all have Scooch Wingmans on our phones, and they're my favorite case out there. The kickstand on the back just makes it so easy to do anything you want. But
yeah, I love it. It's a great case. I use it every single day.
Yeah, that's all we got for you today, though. Make sure you check out the rest of our NFL podcast, and we will see you very soon with some more.